Welcome back to the Reload Bench. So if you watch my Midway USA birthday pricing 6th year video, then you've already seen what's in the box. But I thought I would just go ahead and do a separate unboxing video because I only ordered 3 items from Midway USA and the video was long enough for 3 items. So what I have here is an Uberti 1848 Whitneyville Dragoon. Now at some point I wanted to have a Whitneyville and all 3 models of Dragoons, but this wasn't my first choice. It just had better pricing than the first model that I wanted. So let me go ahead and open this up. It's in the standard rectangular Uberti cardboard box with the artwork of 2 cowboys roping a steer, I guess. And you can see the steer's skull with a lever action rifle and a revolver and cowboy boots, kind of in the desert. Uberti, world's finest replicas. I know some people debate that. I don't have a preference over Uberti or Pieta. I understand there are some differences with them, and whether it's aesthetics or quality, I like both. So in it, there is I believe this is a catalog of the different items they have. Yeah, here you could hang this on the wall like like a poster. It just folds up and it shows all the different models that Uberti sells. That's pretty standard in any of these. And then there is the black powder revolver manual. This is a generic manual for all of their revolvers. There might be some information, if I remember. I haven't looked at one of these in a while. There might be some information in here that's specific to a certain model, but for the most part, it's just your general operation and whatnot. So that's pretty standard. And then what doesn't come in the box is this spare cylinder. I purchased this with the birthday pricing and saved almost 60 bucks. You don't have to have a spare cylinder for a black powder revolver. With the Remingtons, it is a little bit easier to swap them out, and you know, it's kind of cool. You could have that Pale Rider thing going, I guess, or what have you. Or if you've seen it on Hell on Wheels, yeah, it is possible to change out the cylinders, but you could preload a spare cylinder, and take it with you to the range, and it would save you a little bit of time. Now let me go ahead and get this out of the cardboard cutout here. Well, actually, I'll just pull the cardboard cutout back. You can see there's just layers and layers of cardboard, and there's just a slot cut there for a spare cylinder, or I guess you could put you know, lead balls there or something else. But the revolver itself is in a clear plastic bag, and it's kind of shoved down in there. So I'll go ahead and get this box out of the way. It's just wrapped up around the barrel. There's no rubber band on this or anything else like that. I believe on the Pietas there's a rubber band. They're packaged up kind of the same way. And there's a bit of a film on the inside of the bag, kind of giving it a slight yellow discoloration, yellow-brown discoloration. That's the packing oil. It might shine a little bit on camera. That, once again, that's the packing oil. So let me get a cloth and clean this off. All right, so I just did a real general just cleaning of it. I didn't go in depth, but I will before I take it to the range. So there's a little tag on the trigger guard that says, before using gun, read warnings in instruction manual. So let me go ahead and drop the loading lever here. There should be a little tab to push. There we go. If I push this tab with my thumb back, the loading lever comes loose and it locks into place. Let me go ahead and put it on half cock. Cylinder spins. All right, let me pull it back to full cock. There we go. Rotates. Yep. All right. How about getting the wedge out? Now, some people say, oh, you shouldn't hit it with a hammer. Well, sometimes when they're new, they require some break-in. I've had some online arguments with some people about that, about tapping it. I'm just using the plastic handle of my buck knife here. But in my experience, some of these take a while to kind of break in, where when you just push them with your thumb and kind of give them a wiggle, they'll come out on their own. Just some regular use will take care of that. I don't recommend hitting it with anything metal. Use plastic, use rubber, use rawhide, use wood, but don't hit it with something metal. That should be out all the way. Sometimes they look like they're out and they're not. A little trick, you can line it up in between two chambers and drop the loading lever and then just pry it off like that. That's another thing. When they're new, they might be really tight and you might have to do it like that. You see there's lots of oil on the arbor. This is all just packing oil, like a preservative, but it's in really good shape. It should be. It's brand new. So it's kind of a color case hardened frame. It's got a brass trigger guard, and it's kind of got more of the square back than the rounded back, like what you'd have on a third model. Go ahead and line everything back up. If it's not lined up, it's not going to go in. Yeah, not lined up. Line that up a little bit better. There we go. All right. So now I'd like to compare it to a second model Dragoon. You can see size-wise, they're pretty much identical. They've probably most of the parts are the same. There's got to be something. Well, the cylinder is definitely different because it's a separate part number. So that may be the only difference between these two. All right, I've moved them down to make some room so I can compare both of these Dragoons to the Walker, which has got a much longer barrel and a slightly longer cylinder. So you can see all of these are big, heavy percussion revolvers, but they're not too hard to handle. Some people say don't start off with this, and yeah, probably not. Maybe if you're used to Magnum revolvers, it might not be too bad to start off with. I will tell you this, you will use more powder with these. So if you start off with a 36 caliber Navy or something like that, it's not going to cost you as much. But really, these operate the same as the other revolvers for the most part. I mean, there's a few differences between the models, and the LeMat is an entirely different animal, but they pretty much operate the same. Now, on the Walker, there's nothing to hold the loading lever. I mean, there's this little spring here, but that if you've got a full charge, it's gonna shake it loose. So as a change on the Whitneyville, which is what came after it, they came up with this retainer here to help. They also made it smaller, lighter, a little bit more manageable, and cut down the cylinder so you couldn't overcharge it with powder. And this is a progression. If I had a first and third model Dragoon, you could see the entire series. And maybe one day I'll have a video like that. I'm going to have to figure out how to get them all in frame. But I thought I would just go ahead and do this comparison. I'm adding to the collection a little at a time. I'm going to get more and more of these, and I definitely have a lot of fun with them. Now, for some people, black powder revolvers are no fun. They're entirely different process to clean, and for some people, they just don't want to deal with that. I mean, some people just their stomach turns at the thought of using hot water and soap to clean their firearm. And for some people, they don't like how slow they are to load. The more practice you get, the faster it goes. And you can, like I said, preload an extra cylinder, although these aren't cheap. List price on this is over 150 bucks, so more than a magazine, right? But for me, I really enjoy the replicas. I've shot a few originals, and that was really fun too. You're holding a piece of history in your hand, or you're holding something in your hand that is about as close as you're going to get to the original without potentially damaging a piece of history. There's nothing wrong with shooting an original, but some of them are really pricey, so not everybody gets that chance. But anybody can get these, and whether it's a Pieta or an Uberti, I think you would be pretty happy with it if you enjoy history. If you're just into doing mag dumps at point blank range and high-fiving your buddy, yeah, this definitely isn't for you. One thing to note is if you go to a gun range and you start shooting one of these, in my experience, I've noticed people tend to move away from you. So I'm just saying. But here it is, the Whitneyville Dragoon, another black powder revolver for my collection. Thanks for watching.